Right, morning guys. So welcome back to NZ Marko Outlaw Kustoms. So, in the last video, last night, we discovered that the gears in these steering box shafts are a little different. In case you haven't seen that, so, see that? Yeah. So these worm gears, and obviously this gear, even though the casings were the same, like this bit, it's the same, but this bit is a little bit different. This shaft's basically exactly the same, as far as I can tell. But the gears were just a little bit different in size, so obviously they changed the ratio during the different years of these early or mid-20s vehicles. So, because I've had to mix and match, if you haven't seen the earlier couple of videos, I've had to mix and match some bits because the shaft on this one, on this shaft here, which is the original shaft for this car, it was worn out, but the outer for this one was all rotten, and it's got a steering lock key on it, which is not part of that car. And what had happened is, because that shaft was worn out, it had chewed the bush out in here, which is the original one off this car. But because the other one, this piece is the same, I swapped it and I was going to use this shaft, but thinking that the gears would still be the same. But they're not, so I went to put it back together last night, because I cleaned all these parts up and etched them all. And then when I got it together, I was going to give it a good rinse down with brake clean and prep wash, and then I was going to get it ready for paint, like with it all assembled, if you know what I mean, with all the bits assembled back into a steering box and then paint the outside of it in one hit, if you know what I mean. But I discovered that this gear here wouldn't mesh with this one. You can see that. Yeah, so now I've got to try and get these off. Now they're on a keyway. I'm just going to double check to make sure there's not a pin through them or anything stupid, but they're on a, they've got a wood drift type key in there. So I'm going to try and pull them off. So I'm going to pull it here. Now, because this is, the possibility of this getting damaged is likely, so what I've done is I've got a couple of heavyish washers, cut a slot in it so I'll fit over the shaft. Bring it a bit closer and point it down here so you can see a bit better. So what I'm going to do is put that over there like that, and that over there like that. At least then, whenever we pull on that, it's going to be a bit more supported. This is going to take the brunt of the pressure, if you know what I mean. And hopefully not. I'm not too worried about this one, but so what I'm going to do with the other one is I'm actually going to use the bearing that's behind it to pull on it, and hopefully that'll give me better, but I don't want to damage this bearing on this one. So I'm going to use this to get that off. But I'm also going to have to put, because this shaft is hollow, it's got two rods that go down through the centre, one for a light switch and one for the throttle. There is a floor throttle, but it's almost useless, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to put this bolt up in the end here with the washer on the end of it, just to protect the end of the shaft. Just so when the puller comes up against it, it doesn't damage, and hopefully we can just pull this back until it's loose, and then once I get that, when we take the thing off, we'll hopefully be able to slide it off. That's the plan anyway. So, not quite sure which one I'm going to try first. I think I'll try this one first, see if I can get this one off, and then, yeah, and then we'll get that one off, because I need to swap them around. It's either that or we clean up the end of that shaft and put a new bush in that housing. That's the only other way around it, because these, I don't really want to, I probably could, but because this has been exposed, like I'm never going to get that clean and polished up good enough to fit, you know, in that housing successfully and not destroy the bushings that are in there that are in really good nick. That would never work. So yeah, I need to change these gears over. Everything else is the same. It's just, obviously they just changed the style while it's mounted, and they changed the ratio for some reason. They've made it, probably, I guess it's probably more turn, so it's easier to steer, but, you know, it doesn't really matter, but we just need to get it off. So I'll piece this puller together, see if it's going to work, and hopefully it works, because I would have used a press, but because the shaft's quite long, I'd have to lift that up a foot to get it to work, if you know what I mean. I can do that if I really, really have to, but I'm trying to avoid that. So I've got a puller here that I can use. So we'll try that. Alrighty, so I've actually got that three-way puller on it now, and it just, I just couldn't get it to sit square. It would just keep pulling uneven. So I thought at least the three-way one might hold a bit square. So I've got a bit of tension in that. Well, I'm gonna just put a little bit of heat on here, just see if it's enough to make it swell a little bit. I'm not gonna get crazy, just see if it'll swell a little bit to let it go. Because I don't want to pull on it too freaking hard and smash it, because I want to try and see if I can get this one off. At least then I can practice the same method to get that one off and not break it, you know what I mean? If I happen to break this one, it's fine, but I can't break that one, otherwise we're screwed. That is stubborn. It is stubborn. Because I'm beating the washers too, it's not applying full pressure, if you know what I mean. Prick. Let's really measure up. I'll just see what I've got to do to maybe put it in the press. Righty, so from here right to the end of the shaft is a little bit over 4 foot, or 1230 odd mils. It's a wee bit over 4 foot. And from here, from the bottom of the ram to the floor, is about 4 foot. So it's not quite long enough. So we've got that angle on brace in the road there, and we needed probably an extra 4 inches. So my thought is, because I don't know if I'm going to do it with that, my thought is, got this here. Weld it to that, so I can cut that out, so I can sit it down, and then put a couple of frickin' hunks of timber underneath here to lift it up, and see if I can push it off, and get this set up as close as I can, so we're just clearing, if you know what I mean. Hopefully, and then get it set up on something to push. Hopefully, maybe, because I've only got a little bit of clearance to get in there too. That's the other problem. Might be just about too thick. That's the other problem, isn't it? Damn it. I do have some plate here. That I could cut up. So yeah, I think that's the way to do it. Then I can get a better push on it, more even. So I've got that bit of plate, which is 1/4 inch. I could blow that in half and cut a hole in the middle, so we can slide it on either side, if you know what I mean, to get that off. Because I think just doing it this way, I'm going to end up breaking it off. But if I can get that in there, and slide it on either side, just use the plasma cutter to cut that in half. And I've got a slightly lighter one of those freaking donut things here too. Just thinking, because that would give you a fairly good size axle or something down through there if you had to. Like if you needed a little bit extra length, just weld it to that bit of angle on, and then blow it out, like blow that piece out, because that's the bottom stabilizer, if you know what I mean. That's what holds it together at the bottom, so it needs something in there. So I don't really want to. I could probably kick it over on an angle, but it's a bit dubious. Wouldn't be quite so bad if I had a stabiliser, on the outside of that, so you could hang something down through a bit further. But if they'd put something like that at the bottom, would have been quite handy. But they don't. Got to think here, because it's borderline long enough. With a couple lots of 6x2 or 4x2 or something underneath that, the legs, to lift it up, that's going to be plenty high enough. Or a couple hunks like that type sort of thing. Like we're short to the floor by about that much. So yeah, I could do it through that. I just think it would be more successful. Yeah, I think that's probably what I'm going to have to do. I just don't think this is going to do it. I think I'm going to end up, because it's not pulling squarely on here, I think I'm going to end up breaking bits off. Like I said, I'm not panicked about this one, but I need success with this one first on the good shaft, so I know I can get that one off without breaking it. Because if we break the ends off or something stupid, we're in the poo. Alrighty, we'll have a think about this, and we might have to modify the press. Isn't that great? Actually, I just had a slightly better idea than that. I've got that angle line over there. I'll measure a couple hunks of that, cut that off, drill some holes in it, there, and we'll just bolt it on. And then if we ever need to, I can get some big long bolts, just put it through, just drill just 2 holes in it, and put a piece of angle on each side. And if worst comes to worst, I'll weld it to those other bits and bolt it to the main uprights. I think that'll work. Alrighty, So I welded a couple pieces of angle iron in there. They're basically the same size as what was on it. I just tacked it to the leg, so those 4 bits are joined together. I haven't welded it to the uprights, obviously. I took that brace out and I just put the bolts back in, and I put these stabilisers on it, so it's not going anywhere. If I took that out before and didn't put anything else in there, it could close back in at the bottom, so that's not ideal. So a couple bits of angle iron down there and it'll never move. It just means that base plate is permanently like that unless you cut it off. But you can still take the legs out if you needed, you know. So it can still come apart and be shifted if you really wanted it to. So now I'll get one of those columns in there. And I'll have already work out exactly where I've got to put things and how much I need to space. And I might use even little bits of those angle iron, maybe to put underneath the edges of those things and just cut some bits out, you know, some little half moons to slip underneath that gear instead of cutting up that piece of plate. I'll just use a little bit of that angle iron to do that. So I'll get myself sorted out here and I'll take this back off and just have a wee figure out what I got to do to get this to work. But yeah, what I was thinking was, instead of cutting that plate up, which is quite handy at the moment, I'll just cut another couple of smaller hunks off, and I'll just cut out a half moon in it, whatever size it needs to be. Then I can just slip underneath those gears. Probably a similar sort of size hole to whatever's in. Where's that other spear? Where's that other bearing? Yeah, I'll cut it very close to what that size is, so it's a nice tight fit in against that thing. So I think that's what I'll do, but I'll slip that in there, just see how it's roughly going to fit, and then see if I need to stack anything to get it to work, obviously. I'll try not to use bits of wood, but I might have to, but we'll work it out. So I'll come back to you shortly when I get a little bit closer. Right, I'm getting somewhere. So what I need to do now is cut the bits of angle iron, so I can just get that up there, you know, a couple of whatever. It gives me just, you know, a little bit enough clearance to hopefully at least push it and get it started, and if I have to lift this up a little bit more, I can. Like I've got an old bearing retainer and whatever in there, just to try and get it up a little bit further. So yeah, I'll cut a couple of wee pieces of angle iron and put a hole in it very close to what those are, so it's nice and tight and underneath here, and hopefully that works, and then we can do the other one. Right, so I think I've got myself sorted now. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I've got myself sorted now. Hopefully the end of the shaft will be alright pushing on there. I might just lay something on there, but it's not going to make much difference now that it's square, hopefully, and nothing kicks around. So I've made 2 of these with a notch in them, so hopefully I can just sit that underneath there, and sit that underneath there, and I might even get a clamp and just put on there and just hold a little bit of pressure, one of those just squeezy clamps. I think that'll stop that from spreading. Now I'm just looking at it. It might be fine, but a little bit of pressure in there, just to stop it from coming apart, you know, to stop it from spreading. Can only help, eh? So what have I got clearance down there? Not a lot, have I? I'll get it back, but not a lot. About 1.5 inches, maybe barely 2 inches, so I might just give it a wee push. You know, that'll let us know anyway. If it's going to move, it's going to move. If it's not, it's not. So you know, if I can get it down to that dark or to the shiny spot, well, we know on the garage, so he's hoping. If not, I can try and find something else to pack this up a little bit further if I have to keep pushing, if you know what I mean. Yeah? Just like motherfucker. Stubborn son of a... Sorry. Sorry, Bill. Right. Next. Awesome. Oh. Holy moly. That was why it's holding on. Might open that up a little bit. That's it. What was grabbing on me? It might have been the keyway, was it? Could have been. Interesting. Well, I was taking a bit of move. She's hanging up, son. She was hanging up. Yeah, might have just catching the edge of the keyway. Dirty bugger. Oh. Well, no, that's next time. Jeez, we rolled that up, but we'll have to get that, swap the key. Eps. Yeah. Eps. Righty, quick update. I'm about to leave for lunch. So I got the other one off. It actually hung up, it was kind of on the bearing actually. It's quite funny. I made it so it would miss the keyway, but it must do one of the lower bits of like spacer must have been just catching the edge of one of those, the bearing below the or above the, this one here, must have been just catching like on one of the next pieces down, and it tried to pull it up as well. Like it come off heaps easier. That's it there, but it come off heaps easier. But yeah. So we'll give that all a clean up. I'll have to clean up the key a little bit, see if I can get it out of there and just dress it up, and then see if I can get it to go back on. And hopefully if I give everything a really good clean up, and maybe even just a gentle polish up with a bit of 1500 or something like that in the shaft and everything, I might be able to just get it to slide on a little bit easier, so it's not so much of a bastard to get back on. Hopefully it's not as awkward to get on as what it was to get off. But it must stink, fly. But it's off, so that's cool. Got both of them off without breaking. But yeah, it's a bit of a pain in the ass. I have to do what I had to do to the press and lift it up, freaking 6 inches. But hey, it worked. Just took all fucking morning. Anyway, we'll carry on and we'll catch you after lunch, I guess, and see if we can get this back together. Finally. Righty, guys. So hopefully you can see me there all right. So I got that all off. I managed to get this key out. It's actually had a fairly hard time. It's actually quite surprising the amount of sideways damage there is on that. But anyway, so I'm going to give this, there's a couple of burrs and bits and pieces on here, so I'm going to give it a clean up with the right angle dive grinder and one of those finer grade Rolex discs, and then I'll give it this shaft to polish up with some wet and dry. I'll probably start with 800 and maybe 1500 just to really clean it up. Try and get the crap off it and try and get it as smooth as possible. I'll give this key a clean up. Again, it's the same thing, but not worry about the wet and dry, but I'll just get all the burrs and bits and pieces and everything off it, so I can go back in there. And then I'll finish cleaning up the gear. Especially when you put them together, you can actually see the difference. It's quite a bit of difference. Surprising, but yeah. Anyway, I'll get that sorted. Get the right one back on there. Hopefully, the reason why I'm going to give it a polish up and everything like that, so hopefully I can get it so we can get it to slide on there without being too much of an issue, if you know what I mean. And obviously give it a polish up in there, just so it's hopefully a slip fit, and then when it's all back together, it'll lock itself back in place anyway with a bit of pressure and all that sort of stuff. And obviously by the time you bottom the bearing out and then do that up, it can't move anywhere anyway. So that's the plan there, because otherwise it's going to be a bit of a bitch to get back on. It might actually go on there alright. Once you get the burrs and everything out of there and just give everything a little clean up, it should be alright. Probably because it's just been working around with steering, it's probably just made it a bitch to get off. So yeah, hopefully by the time we give everything a clean up, it should be right. And that actually means I'll actually better get this bearing off and that off, and I'll better just give everything else a clean up in there too, a wee bit better. And give this a bit of a flush out, because I wasn't able to get that off before, but I wasn't too panicked, if you know what I mean. But at least we'll better give it a decent clean out now. I'll do that. But I need to get these burrs off first. Right, so I'll just push that gear on there with a socket just up against it, because I can get it on so far. There's actually, here there's a very slight shoulder on the shaft, but it's only small, just obviously to stop this here from going any further. So this here is like, I don't know if you can see down there or not, but so far down here there's like a little, you know, like it's very slightly bigger. Last time. Get that out of there. So just dress that key up a little bit, so it's a bit cleaner. Did that. I gave this a quick polish with 800. It doesn't really need to be need any more than that, but there's a very slight shoulder there, a very slight shoulder on this, so it can't go any further. And that's where obviously the outer of the steering column clamps on, and this screws into the housing. And bearing there, and then that. But what I'll probably need to do is just put a little bit of, I forgot to ask about some proper grease. Last thing to do, I really actually totally forgot about it. try and see if I can get a tube of grease, but I forgot, it doesn't matter. Vaseline, yeah, we'll pump it for a grease when we're near the end, and the Vaseline will just mix in with it. Well, it's basically grease anyway, if you know what I mean. Vaseline is just quite good for just assembling like some little parts, if you know what I mean. It's good at holding like little things together. You want something just to stay there. Like if you're doing transmissions, you know, and you've got little like metal rings that meant to sort of clip in and stay. That'll just put a little Vaseline around them, will just help hold them in place so they won't come loose. Put that on there. Leave it over here. Now we're right, we can put this bloody thing back together. Let's put a little bit in there, just to help. Just a little bit of lubrication so it's not dry. And we want in there like that. And shoot it right here. So I want a smaller one or two. Yep. Man, Why is everything so different? Okay, finding things that are different. And just a little bit different, just to be annoying. I show what I found now, and it means I've got to pull the whole friggin' thing apart again. Guess what bit's different? This piece, the tube, is very slightly bigger. This tube is a little bit bigger. So it means I've got to take all this crap off, get that, double check that it fits over that shaft, put it on there. So that means I've got to take all that crap off again. Because I can't get that tube on, but I need to have that tube because this one is, like I can't clean this one because it's knackered, it's rotten. It's actually rotted through in places. So I can't even clean that one up. And it also means that the clamp wouldn't fit because it's not a lot bigger, but it's enough. Can't frickin' win. So if I put this on here, because I went to put the tube on, so it's that 30, 36, 35, 36 mil. And this one here is just to be different. Why would you change so much? What fucking difference does it make? So it's like, no, it's like fucking 2 mil smaller. That's all it is. It's just like a 16th of or 32nd of an inch. What's the point? Man, I've got to pull all that apart, pull the gear off it again, try to get it back off. Change that, and then put that one on it. Man, it's always something. That might be tomorrow's job. It's just not beer. I'm going to give up for the day. So yeah, why would you make, I know it's a different year, it's obviously a different year gearbox or steering box. It's so close to the same, but it's just every little piece is different. Just to be annoying, but they use the same housing. But the main housing is the same, but everything else is just that little bit different, just to be annoying. Oh. Yep. It's like it's a little bit, like it's a couple of mils, which is, I don't know whether that's a 32nd or whatever it is, 32nd, 16th, somewhere between there. Just enough to be, fucking take it all apart again. Oh well. What can you ask you do but laugh? Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow and we'll take it all again. Morning guys, welcome back to NZ Outlaw Customs. So this should be sort of the last part of this video, and with all the trials and tribulations of this steering box, that has just fought me all the way. It's funny, like I thought a simple job of just stripping it down, cleaning it up, checking it over and putting it back together just turned into quite a, I wouldn't say a major job, but it's funny all the little differences that I've come across, you know, for having the identical housing, main body. Like really, that's probably the only piece that's been exactly the same. Obviously, when they went through the years, they must have made a heap of these. He never used them all, and they just made these work, and probably until they run out, or they maybe made cast a few more at some other point. But you had to do all these subtle little changes between years. I'm guessing years. No, I can't imagine them changing it that much in months during the models, but yeah, unless it's from a different, you know, it could be from instead of a standard 6, it could be from a big 6 or something like that, you know. I'm guessing it's a different year. You know, we know that cars are 25, so it could have been from a 26 or a 27, but just the funny little differences. Like they changed the gear ratios, they changed the, where is it? Now they changed that. Now this piece here, the body part of it's almost identical, but they didn't have the big thick boss on there to put the clamp on it to bolt it to the chassis. You know, they changed the gear ratios, they changed the, you know, the size of this outer sleeve for the steering column to, you know, like a 32nd or a 16th of an inch bigger. You know, why? But anyway, you know, just silly little, just stupid things like that, just to be annoying. So really, the only thing that was probably really the same, except on the shaft where they put their little collar piece on it. Everything else is a little different, you know. It's crazy. It's quite, just, it's mind-boggling that it's so similar, but they made just all those little changes so you couldn't really interchange stuff. So I'm going to get on with it. I'm going to strip this back down. I've actually got a tube of grease now to put in there. So at least when I strip it down this time I can actually put some grease in it, pack it full of grease when we put it together. But yeah, anyway, so I'll get it stripped down and I'll get that piece that screws into the housing that holds the shaft, that holds the outer sleeve on, changed over, and I'll put it all back together again. Right, let's really compare notes here because I'm hoping that exactly everything is exactly the same as two pieces except for the diameter of that bit. Let's compare notes. Right, where are we? So, I'm getting paranoid now. So, that's sneak over 50 mils. Yep, it's within a bee's dick. Right, this piece. not quite 54. So we're talking about just a little bit over 2 inches here basically. First bit was just over 2 inches. Right, that's the same. So this thread diameter the same. And just make sure that's the same too. Where it screws into the housing. So it's about 52 and a bit. I'll screw it into the housing in a minute and just make sure before I do put it in the shaft. Appears to be pretty close. So that's 30, I'm working in mils, that's 34.63. This is what the difference is. This is the clean part, and the clean part. So it was at 34.63 and this is 35.95, so it's almost 36 mils. So there's 1.5 mils difference between here and there. Really? But like I probably could have stretched that tube over it, but then if you ever had to get it off, it might have been a mongrel to get off. If you ever didn't really need to get it off for some reason. That's why I didn't want to force it on there. I possibly could have, but also you would damage the tube trying to bash it on, if you know what I mean. Like, it's easier just to slide it on there than force it over top. So, the only thing I need to check, it should be the same, because I know the shaft's the same size. And we'll just double check to make sure. So it's 25 that end. And that's 26 that end. So it's 20. That's a mil and a little bit. Alright, an inch and a little bit. So that's 25. Yes, the same. Yeah. So the only thing I need to check is turn the camera around. Thought I had the camera on. Right, so I discovered something else slightly different. So this is the one I want on here now. Goes up to there, right? You can also see, you might better see there's a marker pen mark there. So this comes down low, it doesn't go up as far. So I'm guessing the step in here is either different or the step in there is different. I'm not sure how much of the difference that's going to make, but so that's 46 mil to that first little bit of a shoulder there. It is slightly shorter, but it's not enough to make a difference. So this one here, the other one is like it's basically the discrepancy of just machining the end of it. What's the difference here? Okay, I'm not long enough. Where's the roller? Hoping this doesn't make too much of a frickin' difference. What are we looking? So I'm going from this shoulder here on the shaft to, yeah, okay, so it's about 160 mils, or what would that be? Like 6 3/8 inches. So 150 mils is about 6 inches roughly, and 10 mils is about 3/8, so it's about 6 3/8, give or take, if you know what I mean. So here, slightly different now. So it's 154. So yeah, this shoulder is slightly further back. So I don't think there's any difference in this. It's in here. The machine is very slightly further up. What difference that makes, I do not know. Probably nothing. I wouldn't imagine. Does it make any difference? Is it going to actually make any difference? Just trying to think logically here. It's really once that's screwed into the ear, that's not going to make much difference, is it? It's only just a shoulder, so it can't go up any further past it. Once you've got the gear set down there and the bearing set, it's just actually, I'll measure just to see what the difference is here, just to see whether this is roughly in the same place from the bottom. If that's about the same place, so I think we'll just do it. I think we'll be right. So what are we? So to the top of there, to the bottom is 90 mil, or not. It's about. Yeah, 3.5, slightly over 3.5 inches, roughly, just to give you guys an idea. So the other one, let's go look. Turn the shaft around on. Where are we? Yeah, it's exactly the same, 90 mil. Right, so yeah, the gear's going to be exactly the same place, and if I set that central, it's just, they just machined that slightly different. Was obviously just the person on the day that machined that different. Just means that they can't go up as far if it needed to, but it's not really going to need to, because in theory you're going to put the gear roughly in the centre of that, and it's only a rough adjustment, isn't it? Yeah, that's cool, that's fine. That was the only thing I was really worried about, was if something was different there and it was going to hold it. You know, it was going to force it further that way, or it was going to be extreme the other way, or something like this was different. Because everything else was different, I was getting paranoid that, you know, everything was going to be, you know, something else stupid was going to be different, you know, like the shoulder on here was further down and it couldn't go on there, or something stupid. So yeah, on this one, 40. Yeah. Hopefully you can see there. Yeah. So this slides in there nicely. That just won't. It's, you know, almost the same size type thing. So I had to stretch this quite a bit to get it in, you know. Right. Right. We're on the home stretch this time. Some grease in here. A little bit of grease on here now. I think we'll be right. Oh man, how frustrating. How frustrating. How frustrating. Man, can't believe it. Stupid little things that they just made, just minutely different. Right. Righty, we've got a win. We're back to where we were yesterday afternoon before I went to put the tube on. So we had a little bit of a disaster. Really, I should have been using probably a brass bit of tube or something like that. Unfortunately, yeah, I didn't realise that these bits were probably banging on the bottom of the shaft or something like that. It's alright, I managed to file it off and then polish it back up to 2000. I actually started with 400 when I started doing the sandpaper around it, just to try and get it cleaned up as much as I could. Filed it off with that little fine file, and went back around with 400, 600, 800, and then just went to 2000. Hopefully it'll be fine. Packed it full of grease. Now we've got grease in it. And then we can pump it full of grease when we've worked it a bit and whatever, and get everything all really lubed up. I haven't really adjusted. I've adjusted the backwards and forwards in it a little bit from that nut. It seems to be in about the same place as it was in the other one. Close enough. So I'll put a little bit of grease just up on the top part of this tube, and then I'll slide that down on, and we'll just slip fit it together. I might slip the bolts in here for that and that, just slip them in and just nip them up. Now we can do all the final adjustments when it's on the car. Morning guys. Morning guys. So I'm just doing, basically, I actually meant to do a video at the end of Saturday after I painted this stuff. I'm pretty happy with the bits that go on the gearbox and stuff, but I'm not sure about the steering box. I'm not sure if I should repaint it gloss or not. We'll just try and get a slightly shinier finish on the column itself. It's a bit flat. I would like it just a little bit sheenier, if you know what I mean. A little bit more semi-gloss. Pull the phone off, I'll show you. probably should have put just one coat of primer on it, just to seal it so it would come up a slightly more glossy. It's not too bad around here for some reason, but the tube itself is very flat. I would have liked just a little bit more gloss on it, but it just didn't happen. Well, I put a few coats on and it didn't lift it at all, unfortunately. So I'm just not sure what I'm going to do, or whether I just leave it, but I might have to retouch that, because when I picked it up and moved it about 40 minutes after I painted it, was just a touch soft. And you can see there's a couple of fingerprints in it. Because I had it standing up on here, standing vertical, and I just didn't want to leave it there in case for some reason it happened to fall, because it was basically just perched on this, if you know what I mean. It was standing up, I just didn't want to leave it there, so I shifted it over to here, and I tried to grab it on that and that, but as I was lying it down, I had to sort of, hold it, because it was awkward. But anyway, so yeah, I may repaint that yet, or maybe give it another sand and then give it maybe another coat of semi-gloss or something like that. I'm not sure, just to see whether it will come up just a little bit shinier. I would like a little bit shinier. Diff might be a better example. Just want to paint it out. It's so freaking dirty now, you can't tell. That blows that out of the theory, isn't it? But yeah, I just would like it a little bit. I don't want it full gloss like this. I don't want that. Just somewhere in between would be nice. I just think with being dead flat, it's probably, I don't know, it's probably not quite right, if you know what I mean. I could paint. I wonder if I can mix a little bit of the gloss and semi-gloss together and just lift it a little bit, if you know what I mean. And then, I don't know, possibly could do that. Just put a wee bit of that and the gloss together and just see if it will make it slightly in between, if you know what I mean. Give it a coat. Like, I'm not worried about down here, but it was more the shaft itself, to just to be a little bit slightly higher gloss when it comes up into up inside, if you know what I mean, just to be a little bit nicer. But I didn't want it full gloss. But anyway, so I'm going to make that the end of this video. So again, thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. I'm like 944, 45, somewhere around about there. Love to get to that 1,000. Also need to get the watch hours up again now, because I haven't done a lot of the car show type stuff and had those huge views from those car shows, and bits and pieces like that. It's been a bit of a bummer. It's dropped my my watch hours always used to be above the threshold, and all I needed was the subscribers. But now the watch hours are down below too. I'm not a long way below. But I can probably somewhere between 3/4 and almost there, if you know what I mean, somewhere in that mid-range of that. So I need a few more hours, but it would be nice if you can, even just share my things and just see if I can get these watch hours up a bit. It'd be really cool, because I only need another 50 odd people to break that 1,000, so it'd be really awesome. And I'm trying to beat Danny from DG Retro, but he's almost at 1,000. He only needs about 15 or 16. I just can't. I was hoping to catch him up there a little while ago, but he had quite a jump there. But yeah, they're just a friendly rivalry, because we're both sort of in the same sort of boat. We're trying to get to that 1,000, then get above the watch hours. I'm probably a little above him on the watch hours, because I just put so much more regular content out. But yeah, anyway, that'll do. I'll get on with the next video, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys. Thanks. And yeah, again, please like, share and subscribe. Hit that bell. Leave a comment. I don't care if it's just a cool video and a thumbs up or something like that, just to keep that algorithm running. The more views, the more thumbs up, the more comments, and the more subs, the better. Cheers. Thanks, guys.